welcome to the Sci-Fi Fantasy edition of Incoming, the weekly recast that looks back at my favourite miniature releases from the past 7 days. This is episode 4, looking back at the miniatures released for week ending the 25th of September 2009, and I'm your host Neil Shuck. Well, the first thing to note is, yes, we have a new theme tune, thanks to Wogmar for the suggestion, and I hope you like it. Well, a truly bumper show for you this week. Lots of releases and previews for you to see. Let's get straight on with my top 10. At number 10 we have a new company, Cavalcade Miniatures. It's a new company releasing miniatures in 28mm scale, and their first releases are some orcs and goblins. And obviously you'll notice from these pictures that these have a particular cultural link as they are dressed as samurai. Not a bad selection of minis this. It will be very interesting to see what they're coming out with in the near future. At number 9 we have the first of a couple of releases this week from Reaper, and this is a sculpt of Perseus, complete with the Gorgon's head from Matthew Bickley. A typically OTT Greek hero sculpt, but for all that, rather a nice figure I think. At number 8 we have a set of new releases from Critical Mass Games. This is wave 2 of their sci-fi miniatures release. Released several packs of figures in 15mm, including armoured troopers and a complete section of walkers. These are actually really nice. I've got a full set of these in the flesh, or in the metal, which we'll be reviewing in detail on a future podcast. And I really don't think that these pictures quite do them justice. These are, on the whole, a great set of miniatures. Number 7, another new company that's new to me, that's Zenit Miniatures. They've got a couple of new releases for this week. One of them made my top 10. And this is Valerius, who you can see is a war priest almost in the classic GW Empire style. Rather nice looking figure this, as despite the oversized armour, the actual proportions of the figure look pretty good. So I think this could be well worth a look. Number 6 we have new releases this week from Tabor Miniatures. And after a couple of weeks of teasers, they've finally released the first look at their Eden range. Now, these are going to be actually out in December, but they've shown us some first packs of some painted figures. And, well, if you weren't scared of clowns before, I think you really should be now. Quite a creepy set of figures, these. Plus what appears to be some sort of ogre. These figures are incredibly well sculpted, fantastically detailed and proportioned. I'd recommend you actually go and look on their website more and take a look around at the figures that they're producing. Some really nice stuff in this range, I think. But post-apocalyptic clowns. Yeah, very, very strange. Okay, so it's top 5 time, and this week the number 5 features a vehicle. This is from Antenna City's workshop, and this is the much anticipated Vampire Jet Bike. Now these guys have been coming out with some great looking sci-fi vehicles, and this is no exception. The figure itself will come with a resin base rather than a wooden one, and although it does look a little bit oversized I suppose, I think all the same it's a really nice sculpt, great looking vehicle. Can never have too many jet bikes. Number 4, it's finally here. From Westwind and Secrets of the Third Reich, we finally have the Tiger Mecha. Andy promised us a couple of weeks ago when I spoke to him at the other partisan, and as I say, here it is in all its glory. A great looking mecha, although I must admit I think I was expecting the turret to actually be bigger than it is, but all you fans of Weird World War II start drooling now. Another great kit for you to get hold of. Top 3, and it's back to Reaper. And despite all the new releases they've got this week, this is a pre-release green, which I just think is fantastic. This is Ariel Green, taken from one of the new Pathfinder books, and sculpted by the very talented Gene Van Horn. Just another great looking character figure. Really nice poses, looking as if the figure is stood in the wind. Great detailing as always. I just really like it. Really nice looking figure, this one. And number 2 this week, it's Aberrant Miniatures. And more to the point, their Infinity range. They have quite a few new releases this week. This actually is my favourite, which is the Japanese Sectorial Army. You can't go wrong with gun-toting ninjas and samurai. And these are some of the nicest figures I've seen recently for the Infinity range. But these aren't the only releases for Infinity this week, and just for completeness, I've included the other pictures here. My other favourite being the Odalisques. But as you can see, other figures available as well. So what's my number 1 this week? Well, it's a new release from Studio McVeigh, relatively new miniatures company being run by Mike McVeigh. He have both Games Workshop and Privateer Press fame. This is the third sculpt in his limited edition releases, and this is Seraphine, who is very reminiscent of a voodoo woman from such films as things like Live and Let Die, that Bond film from the late 70s. Fantastically detailed mini this, very impressive looking, very much on the expensive side. Even it's a 28mm figure, but I mean you're looking over £10 for this particular figure, so very expensive, but it still looks pretty stunning, doesn't it? So that's my top 10, but as I mentioned, there was a huge number of releases this week, and since my feature on what other figures were released was very popular on last week's show, here it is again, featuring the best of this week's new releases. And that draws to a close another episode of the Science Fiction and Fantasy edition of Incoming. Before I go, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to Bill at the Miniatures page and also Zach at Tabletop Gaming News, without whom which this show would not be possible. Thanks guys, you do a great job. So all that remains to say is thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the show and seen something you like. The next Sci-Fi and Fantasy edition of Incoming will be back in 2 weeks, as I'm away at a family wedding next weekend. So, I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Up until then, happy gaming, take care. Bye.